The pj-fleck-show is brought to you by Cup Foods and Affinity Plus.
You have to do it. You got to want to do it right now.
Now, it's the pj-fleck-show with Pierre Nugent, Ron Johnson, and Justin Gard.
Let's roll.
And welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the PJ Fleck Show, joined as always by the Gopher football head coach, PJ Fleck, former Gopher wide receiver, now the Hall of Famer, Ron Johnson, and don't worry, you're still a Hall of Famer in my book too, Justin Gard.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
The whole crew is back together again here at the indoor facility on the University of Minnesota. The Gophers are off to a 3-0 start, and non-conference play is now a thing of the past. PJ, you talk often about changing your best on a week-to-week basis. How have you seen your team change their best with each passing game leading up to the first 3 weeks?
Well, we talk about what every position has to be able to do. We break it down into three things that they have to continue to get better at, and the fundamentals and the techniques of everything that they know. That way you can actually say, did we grow that week or did we not, when you actually watch the game tape. And in the Colorado game, when you look at all positions, we got better in all three of those areas that all the position coaches said that we had to get better at, and I think you saw that on the field.
And Chris Autman-Bell, we got to address it. Season-ending surgery, you said. What does that mean for the team?
Just means somebody's going to have to step in, step up, But the good thing is this year we have a lot more wide receivers than we did last year. We've got guys like Dalen Wright, Michael Brown-Stevens, and Clay Geary, and Daniel Jackson's coming back now, Lemeki Brockington. So there's 5 or 6 guys that have played a lot of football for us or have been waiting to play a ton of football for us to step into that role. Obviously incredibly heartbreaking to watch Chris lay on the field like that. And, you don't even see really anything turn, twist, or anything like that. Just kind of goes for a pass, comes down, and it's heartbreaking because you know what he's put into the season, the type of person he is. He knew it exactly when it happened, and that hurts your heart because they're all your sons, and your heart breaks for him. But he'll respond in a positive way. He was at practice today. He's getting surgery tomorrow, so I know guys will step in, step up. We got a lot of other guys at different positions, whether it's a running back position, tight end position, that are involved a lot more than they were last year. So, again, everybody's just got to step up.
And does it change how you want to operate? He's obviously kind of the alpha of that room, but even so far this season, PJ, you've thrown it to a lot of different guys. So it seems like nothing really has to change dramatically. It just might be different names and faces.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to, I think you hit it right on the head, that, it's not going to change how we distribute the ball to receivers or tight ends, but there is a thing that has there is a thing in the back of your mind about that trust factor, what he's done for our program, the experiences he's had, the catches he's made, the impact he's made as a leader. I mean, that can't be ignored. But that means somebody else is going to have to step in, step up. And, the guy who's going to be on the set with us today, Michael Brown-Stevens, him and I had a conversation about that today. I've had a lot of conversations about that with him in the past. He's ready to step in, step up to that role, and I can't wait to see what that looks like with him doing it.
Let's stay on offense. Another big day on the ground, especially for Mo Ibrahim. I mean, over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. He ties Darrell Thompson for the most rushing touchdowns in program history. Doesn't look like a guy who's coming off, a big-time injury. Has he looked about as good as you've ever seen him?
Yeah, I think I said it on Big Ten Network the other day. It looked like the Rookie of the Year. The movie back in our day where the kid breaks his arm, goes back there, gets it fixed, comes out throwing 105 miles an hour, whatever it is. And Mo looks, this past game, Mo looked as good as he's looked. And that's what we wanted to continue to see. I'm not saying he didn't look very good in week 1 and week 2. But you've got to gain that experience. And with this run, this is what Muhammad's all about. This is what our team's about. This is the definition of what Gopher football is all about. When you watch that clip, if you could say, what are we about? That's the clip that we would use over the last 6 years. And he's just got such a big heart. He looked as good as he's looked leading up to this point. And, he's only working harder. He had a great day today in practice, too.
Henry Rowan-Gardner?
Yeah, that's correct. That was correct.
Henry Mowen-Gardner.
And his mom was the secret.
NIL.
His mom was the secret.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Deal. Yeah,
Henry Mowen-Gardner.
But I didn't say what happened. I just said his mom is the secret.
Spoiler alert.
The secret.
If you haven't seen that movie yet, just move on.
1994, Daniel Stern.
Exactly.
Henry Mowen-Gardner.
Oh, there you go.
NIL, baby.
Mowen-Gardner or
Rowan-Gardner?
Rowan-Gardner?
Mo Ibrahim.
Now,
Let's keep up,
you're
guys.
so far ahead.
Yeah, let's keep up, guys.
Man, I
Let's
tell
keep
you.
up.
That's why he's a Hall of Famer in my heart.
Go ahead, Ron.
Well, Joe Rossi knows Mike Sanford Jr. Did that familiarity help him kind of scheme what he might see in offense?
Well, I think you could say the same thing on the other side. I mean, the familiarity helps as good as it can leading up to the game. Then you have to go play. Nobody knows the orders of the calls and the little things that you have, the little tidbits here and there. Maybe in the preparation leading up to that, but after that, you got to play football. Got a lot of respect for Mike and what he's done and even helped our program. But when you look at what Joe Rossi did, I mean, the whole approach of what we did, offense, defense, and special teams, was what we expected to do, but also was a surgical approach. And it was very professional-like, and I'm just glad that we got the win.
So far this season, it seems like you've done a really nice job capitalizing on drives, getting into the end zone, finishing with points once you get into the red zone. What's the key to that? What's important when you get into that 20 and under area to finishing the drives?
Well, it's understanding, how important when you get down to that situation is scoring points. I mean, there's a difference between 3 points and 7 points. That's a 4-point swing somehow, some way. There's a difference between getting 7 and missing a field goal. There's a difference between getting a field goal and not getting any points. So, you've got to understand that. Our players, that's what we teach all the way through spring ball, all the way through training camp, situational football, statistical things that matter. You look at the NFL, and you look at third down execution, and you look at green zone execution or red zone. And usually the teams that are in the top 10 are teams that are playoff teams in all those categories. Right? And there's nothing by coincidence. Look at college football, it's the same way.
Why do you call it the green zone?
Well, that's where you make your money.
Make your money. Okay, I thought so.
That's where you make your money, yeah.
Year 6.
Green means go, red means stop, green means money.
I finally got around to asking 6 years in, but now we've got that result.
I thought it was because of Seth Green, but that's not it.
No, he doesn't play here anymore.
When you look at, now the non-conference portion of the schedule is over. I know football is football no matter where you play, no matter who you play. But how has this prepared you now for the next chapter of the season heading into conference play, and where do you feel like this team's mindset is as you begin conference play this Saturday?
Well, I think if you look at our competition as we continue to go, we've had to play better, and play better, and the competition got better as you continue to go. And even the size of the players and the speed of the players. I mean, that was Power 5 football last week. The score might not have reflected that part, but that was Power 5 football. And we take a lot of pride in, listen, whoever's in front of us, we still have to execute. We still have to play our game. We have to be efficient, and we got to make the plays that present themselves. It doesn't matter who's in front of you. If you're not executing and pitching and catching, and you're not tackling, and you're not taking care of the ball, and you're not executing the plays that are called, you're not going to beat anybody. So it doesn't matter who's in front of you. You've got to take care of what you can control, and that's what I liked about the first 3 games that we've played. Now we start Big Ten slate, and we got to do the same thing. That's the whole thing. We got to do the same thing and just do it a little bit better.
Yeah, when you look at Michigan State, you guys have a tough test. Yeah. They are known for trying to be bullies. How do you match their intensity and make sure your players are on top of that?
Well, they're incredibly physical. They've got a mindset very similar to our football team. They're going to want to establish the run game, especially coming off the Washington game. They're going to want to reestablish the run game. Mel Tucker has brought this, and again, with an extension of Mark D'Antonio, an extension of this physicality, this toughness, put the ball on the ground and play football, and they've responded to that. They're a really good football team, and we got a challenge ahead of us.
Coach, I want to go back to Chris Autman-Bell really quick. How much of a benefit is it to have a guy like Mo, who went through a similar type of injury, a very tough injury, to have a guy like that in the room, on the team, to put his hand on Chris's shoulder, be like, hey, I know what you've been through, and it's possible to come back from something like this?
Well, Chris has had injuries to overcome. We've got a lot of people, whether it's Clay Geary, whether it's Muhammad Ibrahim. You could take a stab at a lot of guys.
Sure.
John Michael Schmitz. I mean, people have been hurt before, and they've overcome those injuries. The one thing this program teaches everybody is a response. It's not a reaction. I mean, it's not if, it's when, and you're not immune to it happening to you. And when it does happen to you, you take it a little bit more personal. But that's where the rally of the team comes in. And guys who've been around that before, guys who have been hurt before, can really help them. And Mo's going to be a great leader for him as he continues to go through it, because we're going through it with him.
Sure.
He isn't standing off in the corner not doing something. He'll be a leader of this football team just like he was when he was playing.
Well, we certainly wish Chris Autman-Bell a very speedy recovery, and we hope to see him back on the field sooner than later. And like Coach was alluding to, when we come back, special guest joining us here on set, wide receiver Michael Brown-Stephens here to talk about how the season has gone thus far and what the expectations are like for him moving forward. Stick around, more to come here on the PJ Fleck Show.
Let's row the boat. You're watching the PJ Fleck Show.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the PJ Fleck Show. Now equipped with drones. Don't worry, we took it out of my paycheck to make this show look bigger, badder, and better. And boy, does it look oh so good. Special guest joining us here on the set here, wide receiver Mike Brown-Stevens on set with us. Mike, we appreciate you taking the time. What has it been like for you entering your junior season? You've got a lot of games under your belt. What is it like going into your junior season in terms of expectations for yourself?
So yeah, just coming into my junior year, having gained a lot of experience throughout my 4 years here. It started out pretty slow, but picked up, got better each and every day, each and every year. So I feel really good about this season. I'm sure Coach Fleck feels that way too. Everybody else within the program feels that way. Really ready to get started. I mean, not get started, but keep moving forward. Sorry. But yeah, I just feel real good about this season.
Your head coach this summer said he was happy with how much you had progressed, even from last year to this year. I bet that is nice to hear, number one. But number two, where do you feel like you've really grown as a receiver the last couple of years?
A lot of talk has been about me becoming a complete receiver. And for me, what I feel like a complete receiver possesses is knowing coverages, knowing what you're doing, not only knowing what you're doing, but how to do what you're doing, and then catching the ball. A lot of situations aren't going to go in your favor, but a great receiver will always have the ability to improvise and go out there and make a play regardless. So that has been my focus on becoming a complete receiver throughout the past couple of years. Before I was just known as like a speed guy, speed type of guy. So just chasing that, just being the best I can be.
PJ, to kind of go along with that, each week we ask you, every time we have a player here as a guest, we get a chance to ask you how you've seen your players have developed. What have you noticed with Mike in his first couple of years and where he's at now as a wide receiver?
Yeah, I think you hit on it. I mean, he's always kind of, when he came in here, he was really fast, right? Wasn't the heaviest guy, didn't have a lot of muscle on those bones, but he could fly, right? And I think that's where everybody saw him as just a speed guy. But over the last 2 years, he's become a complete wide receiver, from the run game to the short intermediate routes to the break points to creating separation, to be able to still be a vertical threat, understanding every single position. And that's the ability he has to be able, for us to be able to move him to every single position and get the most out of him. He's got a lot more confidence than he did. I mean, he's got no problem with confidence, I promise. But and that's a good thing for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
But he's gained more as he's continued to go as the complete receiver, which we're going to have to rely on him a lot this year to be able to do that. And even last year, it was good. It was a good, solid start as his first year playing a ton. But he worked incredibly hard in the offseason to make himself a complete receiver, and you're starting to see that now.
How has the wide receiver room kind of reacted to Chris Autman-Bell's injury? What have the conversations been like, and how do you feel as a group, moving forward?
Chris is a great leader. He was the main leader of our group, and I feel like it took a lot of us down a little bit, and when it happened, because you never want to see that happen to anybody, let alone your team, your room, and your best friend. So it hurt a lot of us, but at the same time, we knew that we had to keep going. Life was going to keep going on. Chris wants us to keep going, so there's no reason for us to feel sorry for him or feel sorry for ourselves and just stop. So with him going down, it's a little bit of a motivation for all of us to keep going and just to be better and continue and be better in basically his name. So it's definitely motivation for us.
And what do you feel like you've learned not only from him, but going back to your freshman year, having Tyler, having Rashad, having some of these other guys? What's it been like to watch those guys and learn from those guys, and now it's your turn? Yeah,
so it was great, man. I've been around a lot of great receivers that come through here, some of the best to ever come through this program and through this school. So just a lot of the things that I've picked up from them is confidence. A lot had to do with that stuff. I would say knowing how to go up and talk to guys and be a leader, and also just making sure that my mind is fine, my mind is good, and making sure that I'm all right before I go out and help others, because you got to make sure you're fine before you can take care of somebody else.
Mike, I know you and I had a chance to speak last year. One of your nicknames is Young Simba. Is it Young Simba or just Simba?
Just Simba.
Just Simba.
Yeah.
Not so
Used
young
to be
anymore.
young.
Used to be young, now he's a grown lion. That's how it is. How did you get that nickname? And for those watching who don't know about it, how did that all come about?
Yeah, so my favorite movie is The Lion King. And, there's a lot of good life lessons in there. I actually have it like tatted all over my body. I got a lion right here. The quote actually says, "Remember who you are."
Yep.
So I took that and, incorporated it into my life. And I feel like it's been making me like a better person ever since. And then they came out with a live action movie. So, that just, it sparked, just the memories that I had when I was a child, watching The Lion King and how I felt about it. And then when that movie came out, I was just like, okay, I'm going to take this and run with it. And then Simba came about.
Now, do you fast forward in the Mufasa part? Because I'm 40 years old. I still can't watch Mufasa and the Stampede. I don't know how you feel. We were kids when that came out, and Simba comes out and says, "Dad," I mean, that's tough. And Hakuna Matata actually translates to row the boat. I don't know if anybody knew that. Did you know that? Yeah, very similar.
No worries.
Something like that.
Yeah, no worries, row the boat.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have young children. I'm sure they've watched The Lion King. We hope they get the life lessons out of it that Mike did.
They absolutely do. I mean, my kids are pretty sensitive, though. They just saw Pinocchio, the new Pinocchio.
Okay.
And the first comment out of my girls' mouths were, "I had to leave the room 3 times, Dad." I was crying the entire time. I'm like, great. I mean,
don't show them Bambi. I mean, we can give them. We can kind of avoid. You want to confront things like you always talk about, but sometimes
I don't even watch like Top Gun, like when Goose dies. You just fast forward past that too.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah,
part
another
2.
spoiler alert here.
Spoiler alert! Part 2.
About that again.
Yeah, too soon. Mike, we appreciate you taking the time, joining us today. Continued health, continued success. We look forward to watching the rest of the
Yes,
season.
sir. Thank you for having me.
Justin brought it up a moment ago. You heard Rashad Bateman's name, and we're going to actually talk about the former Gopher wide receiver on the other side of the break. Big day for some former Gophers in the NFL. We'll get PJ's thoughts on that coming up next on the PJ Fleck Show.
Welcome back to the PJ Fleck Show. Let's row the boat.
Winding things down here on the PJ Fleck Show, time now to take a look around the National Football League. We've seen a lot of Gopher faces making impacts in games across the league. Coach, we know that Antoine Winfield, Keefe doing their thing down in Tampa. Carter Coughlin had a big play on special teams for the Giants' opening play of the game. But the one that takes the cake, Rashad Bateman, a monster performance, setting a new Ravens record, actually becoming the first Ravens receiver to have 2 50-yard touchdown receptions in each of the first 2 games of the season. Here's one right here.
That looks familiar.
I was going to say, Shiraka called that play?
How much
Shiraka play right
You
there.
see when Minnesota football put those 2 out together?
Absolutely.
Right? And where it showed that, then it showed him doing it, I think, against Purdue.
Yep.
Right? And but that's what he does. I mean, he is so explosive. He's one of the best short post route runners that you can have because he understands patience, and that's what that route is, and knows how to create separation. And once he gets the ball in his hand, he does that. So he's missing the heart,
Yeah,
but other than that, it looks very familiar.
How much fun is it for you as a coach to watch the guys playing on Sundays and seeing the impacts they can make in a game?
Well, that's why you do it. I mean, that is truly why you do it. I mean, he is living his dream. He's succeeding in his dream, and that's why you coach. And when you get guys that have that type of skill level and that type of ability, you're truly blessed. And I love watching it. I mean, I get a report basically every Monday, and it shows that every player we've coached in the NFL that's active, whether it was at Western Michigan or here at Minnesota, how they did, what their stats were, and we just follow them constantly. And it's so great when it shows up on the highlights, though. That's the best part.
Well, and the coolest part for me is Rashad Bateman was here at the spring game, Antoine Winfield was here at the spring game, Carter Coughlin, Kamal Martin says he was here. I don't know if he was here, but he got drafted while the spring game was going on.
Tyler was here with his daughter.
Tyler was here. That they all want to come back. That's got to be pretty cool for you as well.
Well, that's what this whole thing's about, is about connecting the university from the past to the present into the future, right? There's going to be coaches that are after me. There's going to be there were coaches that were before me. There's players the same way. We've got to make this all one Minnesota, right? Everybody, former player, is welcome here at the University of Minnesota. And I love seeing our former players come back. I think that's absolutely critical. And they enjoy coming back. They want to see. It's great to be able to see their former coaches too, and be able to have a reunion every time they come back here, and they're celebrated. And we wouldn't be where we are without those guys.
And you're heading on the road to play Michigan State. How do you get your players prepared for that road trip?
Yeah, I mean, the road trip is, we're literally going on the road just to play a game and then coming home. I mean, we truly take it as every game's a game that we can play, whether it's home or away. We've got to be able to perform to our standard. It doesn't matter where it's located at. The football field's the exact same size. We know we're going into a house-style environment, especially after coming off the Washington game. We know they're going to be ready to roll. So we got to play our best football. But we're preparing for that throughout the week with our crowd noise and what we feel like we're going to hear.
That's what I wanted to talk about next. This building right now is very quiet, except for the low hum of the drone just circling over us right now. That's kind of our crowd noise. I think we've handled it pretty well. We're executing at a high level for the most part. We got to finish strong. What's it like for practice when you are going on the road with the different fight songs and the taunts, and there's nobody doing anything positive? I mean, it's just got to be crazy in here.
It is crazy, and if you take it for just a practice environment, you probably walk in like, man, I mean, he's supposed to be this positive guy, and you listen to all this stuff that's going on the speakers, and then he's complete opposite of that. But we know that not one person in that stadium, besides maybe our families, are going to want us to win, and we're not going to hear anything but negativity. So they've got to hear that prior to going in there. They've got to hear exactly what fight songs they're going to hear that maybe they're not familiar with. They've got to be able to hear the chants that Michigan State does, so they can be familiar within an unfamiliar situation. So we do everything we can to prepare them for that, for the internal to be loud and the external just to drown out, because they will hear it, but we just don't want them to listen to it.
Lastly for you, be honest. Okay, what do you think?
When have I ever lied to you?
That's a fair point. What do you think of the drone?
I love the drone. Yeah. I think it's an enhancement.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful enhancement.
We're changing our best. That's what we're trying to do.
Amen.
I appreciate you buying it.
Yeah,
that was really nice.
The sacrifices must be made, and I care about quality. So there's a look at it right now. You're going to be seeing this. I hope on a week. Nate, are we going to be seeing this on a weekly basis now? He's giving me the head nod. Yes. So new, improved, consistent PJ Fleck Show week in and week out. Coach, we thank you again so much for joining us. Good luck this week.
Appreciate it. Go Gophers. Thanks.
For PJ Fleck, Ron Johnson, Justin Guard. Let me try that again. The Hall of Famer, Ron Johnson, Justin Guard, and myself, Pierre Nugent. We thank you so much again for joining us here on the PJ Fleck Show. Once again, Minnesota traveling on the road to East Lansing to take on Michigan State this Saturday. And we'll have more on the Gopher pregame show coming up this Saturday. And we will see you back here again next week for the PJ Fleck Show. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody.
Try to get a cool football shot. Couldn't do it.